by doing kirtan for money, one gets sinful reactions. It's very clear in Hari Bhakti Vilas that if one performs kirtan with the motivation of family maintenance or anything like that for monetary remuneration for doing his kirtan, then who does the kirtan, who hears the kirtan, and who pays for such kirtan to be performed, so-called kirtan, it's not kirtan, it was imitation kirtan, that they all become infected with material desires. They get sinful reactions even. It's mentioned that they get sinful reactions for doing kirtan like that. It is, aparadhana. Of course, someone can argue that, well, even if we are offenders, because in Prema Vivarta by Jagadananda Pandit, it mentions that if someone, has faith because of having heard from Sampradaya, someone has faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then his chanting will gradually purify him from material contamination. But gradually means how gradually? Who knows how gradually? 700 lifetimes gradually. Bahu Janma Kari Ari Shravana Kirtana. You may become freed from material contamination, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get prema. You may gradually become free in 700 lifetimes. You'll get so much piety from chanting the offended name by demanding money in return for your chanting, that you'll get so much piety that the accumulation of the piety that you gain for chanting like that for 700 lifetimes, it will help you to get the intelligence to finally understand that you shouldn't be chanting for, with the expectation of monetary remuneration for your chanting. Chanting is meant to be done purely as yajna, for the satisfaction of Krishna, without expectation of anything in return. That's sacrifice in the mode of goodness, please. That's not even, transcendental yajna. That's practically like even on the, Naishkam Karma Yoga, platform. You perform some yajna, but without any expectation of anything in return. That's not even on the Shuddha Bhakti platform. Shuddha Bhakti platform, there's no question of your thinking in terms of being attached or unattached to some kind of fruit of result from your action. But you're performing Sankirtan, Jagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. You're performing Sankirtan simply for the purpose of satisfying the Jagya Purush, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Kali Yuga. There's no question of thinking in terms of that I have to perform this Jagya, and therefore, if I'm going to perform this Jagya, I must demand a certain, amount for my performance of Jagya. Then it's actually not performance of Jagya. It comes to the platform of practically mundane karma. Or vikarma. Because it's action which is against the regulative principles of the Vedic literatures. Vikarma means sinful reactions. When Hari Bhakti Vilas says that one gets sinful reactions by performing kirtan with the expectation of monetary reward, then that means that it's come to the platform of vikarma. It's not even karma. It's not even karma yoga. Supposedly chanting the holy name, but you're not chanting the holy name. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says that those who are namaparadis, that they appear to be chanting the holy name, they're chanting the syllables of the name, but namakshara nama nahi. The syllables of the name don't constitute nam. The pure name is there when Krishna, Nam, agrees to appear, to dance on your tongue in the form of those syllables. It may be appearing just like you have the form of the Murti. You buy it from the Murti Wala shop for X number of rupees, basically paying for the brass. So the point is that imitation kirtan means that just like, as Bhaktisiddhanta, I was mentioning Bhaktisiddhanta's statement regarding this, he says that Ravana tried to abduct Sita, but did he get Sita? No, he didn't get Sita. But rather Sita presented a Mayic form of herself as she, slipped behind the veil of Yogamaya. So the real, Sita was not, in the grubby midst of Ravana. Similarly, if one has a mentality to exploit the name of Krishna or the name of Radha, what's the difference between that and the Ravana mentality? Ravana wanted to exploit Sita for his own sense gratification. So similarly, if someone, on the plea of propagating the holy name or something like that, but has anyabilasita, has ulterior motives, if you take away the money, is he going to continue to do kirtan? Will he do the kirtan? Will he come to do your 24-hour kirtan if you don't offer him 20,000 rupees or whatever, or $20,000, 10,000 pounds or whatever it may be, for coming to do your kirtan? It's better to have, it's better to offer a weed picked by your own hand than to offer a flower, purchased at the gate. You can purchase a flower, but if you with devotion you pick this weed, by your own hand and offer it, may not be as luxuriant looking as the flower that you bought at the gate, but the weed was picked with loving devotion, whereas the other one was just picked with monetary purposes involved. Similar kind of thing. It's better to be chanting Namavas. It may be that, the Namaparadi, he accepts, okay, we accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I need that money. Because after all, I gave up my high-paying job. I could be raking in the big bucks, but, to compensate for my giving up my job, so that I could go on with my, imitation kirtan, I'm going to demand X amount of rubles for my kirtan performance. How is that any different than selling the holy name? You think Krishna Nama is so cheap that you can buy a kirtan? What's the difference between that and the thing that Prabhupada complained about concerning the professional kirtaniyas? They make their kirtan group and do their gigging here and there all over, Bengal. They support their families that way also. And they do their kirtan performances. Prabhupada says that they may be able to, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can read it in the purport, he says that they may be able to increase their bile secretion that way, but they'll never get prema. They'll never get prema that way. And nor can they inculcate bhakti shakti into the hearts of the people who are hearing their so-called kirtan. So then what is the use of the affair? Why have a 24-hour kirtan? Better you guys just get together and, you don't have to have some luxuriant, Shastra Sangeet Wala or someone come, to show their stuff and make you think that, you're getting something, special. You guys just get together and perform kirtan, from your heart with whatever little you have. And you'll get, miles and miles and miles ahead, bhakti mileage-wise. Then, paying for someone to come. It's one thing, you give them their up and down fare, that's only gentlemanly. But it's not that they have to get their salary too. You give them up and down fare so that the Jagyik Brahmins can come and selflessly perform their Jagya for the satisfaction of Vishnu, and, without any expectation of return. It's not that they're going to demand that I must get the dakshin. You can give them pranami, and that's okay. They can accept some, without any greed, humbly accept whatever little pranami is offered them by the yajaman. But it's not that they demand that I must get X amount of money, otherwise, forget it, I'm not going to come do, kirtan. Because I'm not, getting my, wage packet. So Brahmins can, patan, yajan, dan, partigraha, they can, accept dan. That is their profession. The profession of a Brahmin is to accept charity. But if he's a grihastha especially, a grihastha is still, whatever his profession is, if his profession is to accept charity as a Brahmin, then still he has to give 50% of the charity that he receives in charity to Vaishnavas and Brahmins. It's not that he's saying that, I'm begging, therefore I'm not working hard like an ass, doing my, karma or whatever, and giving charity as the fruit of my action. But the fruit of your action is whatever you receive from begging, because your action is begging. So you have to give 50% to the service of the Vaishnavas, the service of the Brahmins. And 25% you set aside for emergency expenditures, and 25% only you spend for your maintenance. And that's receiving charity done as a qualified Brahmin. Otherwise, what's the difference between you and a Sudra? Or a Vaishya selling your wares? Brahmin he performs Jagya. He has the right to perform Jagya. Those who are actually chanting the pure name, they're certainly, whether they're initiated as Brahmin or not initiated as Brahmin, they're certainly better than any Brahmin, and they're certainly qualified to perform Sankirtan Jagya. But if they're chanting the pure name, then they have to be chanting the pure name. It's not that they're, doing business with the holy name. That is not the pure name. Only the pure name can inculcate Bhakti Shakti into the heart. Krishna Shakti meaning Nahi Pada Pravartana. Krishna Shakti means Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, Sarup Shakti, Bhakti Shakti. What is the purpose of our performance of Sankirtan if our Sankirtan is not meant to let's say, spread the Bhakti cult, or to increase the Bhakti energy in the atmosphere for the benefit of others? Why perform Namabhas Kirtan? Namabhas Kirtan, okay, if we're not chanting Shuddhanam, by which we can actually increase Bhakti, at least we're chanting Chaya Namabhas. We're not chanting Pratibimba Namabhas. Chaya Namabhas means that there's no that you're not chanting Shuddhanam, but there's no intention to exploit the name either for bhukti or mukti. If you're trying to become freed from your anarthas so that you can gradually become purified, to come to to make yourself fit to be a recipient of the mercy of Shuddhanam, then that is also a form of namabhas, that Chaya namabhas, that is called the clearing stage. You're trying to clear away your anarthas and whatnot. But those who are chanting with the aim of getting, maintaining some kind of sense gratificatory status quo, on the plea of bodily maintenance or whatever, family maintenance, and living high on the hog, so to speak. Excuse the terminology. But it's basically not much difference. Having outlandish overheads and whatnot. Brahman means living simply, simplifying as far as possible, reducing sense gratification as far as possible, living as a grihastha brahmachari. Means sadhu jivan. Can anyone other than a sadhu chant Shuddhanam to broadcast the bhakti cult, to inculcate bhakti into the hearts of the people who hear the kirtan? So if we're going to do 24-hour kirtan, first we should decide what we're doing it for. Are we doing it to increase our bhakti? Then we have to chant Shuddhanam. And if we're not chanting Shuddhanam, then we have to invite people who are chanting Shuddhanam. Not people who are chanting Aparadhanam. By Aparadhanam you can increase your bhakti, you can solve your japati problems. And maybe, it may be that if you're chanting in front of the deity of Gaurnitai or Panchatattva, that, they're not considering the offenses. But it doesn't mean that you're not chanting Aparadhanam. They're just not considering your offenses. You still get your bhakti. You don't get the reactions to offenses against the holy name. And even you may get, mukti out of the affair. Means you're becoming freed from material contamination by the grace of Gaurnitai. But you're still not getting bhakti. You're still not, getting prema out of the affair. Why did we join the movement? So that we can get bhakti and mukti? Is that why we came to the Krishna conscious movement? Is that why we're performing our kirtan yagyas? So that we can get bhakti and mukti out of the affair? We increase our material piety? If that's what you get, then you get the virata roop of Nam, you don't get Nam. Virata roop of Nam is a Mayak form. Just like Krishna left his Mayak form when Jara the hunter shot him in the heel. You know that, Leela? When Krishna decided to close his Bhoma Leelas, he left a Mayak form to bewilder the atheist. Bhaktisiddhanta says that to the extent one disbelieves that simply by performing Sankirtan Yajna all one's needs can be fulfilled, to that extent one is an atheist. He says to the extent of help one gives to the propagation of the holy name, kirtan of the holy name, that is the sole measure of one's belief in God. To the extent one obstructs kirtan of the holy name. Now obstruction is of different types. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're just, Chankazi coming along and breaking mridungas. It means that you're not actually allowing, you're not actually chanting the pure name. So if you're committing offenses, if we're not following the regulative principles, if we're not actually seriously interested in intimately cultivating a relationship with the name, by cultivating the proper service attitude toward the name, if we're still on the exploitative platform trying to use the kirtan, in some way to maintain our material status quo or whatever, then, that kind of chanting, will not give prema, it will not give bhakti. It may serve to solve your chapati problems, because even the offended name mercifully awards material benedictions. But what does it mean? It means repeated birth and death. Bahu janma kari hari shravana kirtan. That is not real shravana kirtan. Real shravana kirtan can only be done by sadhus. And sadhu means that they're satam. Satam, satyam. Param satyam dhimahi. They're not, meditating on their wage packet, please. They're meditating on param satyam. And param satyam meditation means how to please Krishna. Krishnanushilanam. Practicing the principle of prema dharma. Krishnendriya priti itchadari premanam. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that in the beginning of creation, He sent forth both men and demigods along with Jagya, blessing them by saying, "Be thou happy by this sacrifice, for His performance will bestow upon you all desirable things, both for comfortable living," that means bhukti, including bhukti and mukti, liberation at the time of death, by the performance of Jagya. But what does that mean? That doesn't mean that you exploit the Jagya. That means akama, sarvakamava, moksha karma udaradi, tivrena bhakti yogina. By performing bhakti yoga, it means that you set aside anyabhilasita shunyam. You set aside your whatever, sarvakama, moksha kama, whatever it may be. You set these desires aside and simply perform jagya for the satisfaction of Vishnu without any expectation of return, and see how Krishna may not put it to you like this. He may not give you the result like this, that I give X amount of energy in the jagya and therefore I have to tangibly see some X amount of monetary return coming from the jagya itself, that I do the jagya, you give me the money. That's not there in the Bhagavad Gita sloka, that you do the jagya and you get money for doing your jagya. You do the jagya with the expectation of getting money. He's just saying that don't worry about these things. Be freed from anxiety for gain and safety. Go beyond the modes of material nature. Bhakti in the mode of ignorance, bhakti in the mode of passion, bhakti in the mode of goodness. Go beyond these things. Be freed from the desire for the anxiety for gain and safety. And just perform jagya for my satisfaction. And you don't have to worry. The demigods will be satisfied. Grains will come. What will your money do if there are no grains to purchase with your money? Krishna, if you perform the jagya, and I've seen it practically in my own life. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking, like a fool, just parroting some philosophy or something. I've seen it practically. I've been doing the jagya for the last, 37 years or more. And I've seen practically how it is. Krishna doesn't have to give you, your bhukti and mukti like this. he'll send you a donation like this, a third party. Doesn't have to be that, I'm doing the jugya for this man, and therefore he has to give me the monetary remuneration. And if he doesn't give me any monetary remuneration, then I won't perform the jugya. Then that means selfish. It's not selfless sacrifice. By performing selfless sacrifice for the satisfaction of Vishnu exclusively. That is Kevala Bhakti. Simply by doing Kevala Bhakti, satisfying Krishna, Anyabhilasita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Anavritam, is it? Anukulina Krishnana Shilanam. This Anukul Bhajan, Anukul Kirtan, Anukul Bhakti, then you get far superlative result than if you, hire a few kirtaniyas to come and do your kirtan for you. You get much more spiritual benefit by doing the kirtan yourself. Getting together with your friends and family or whatever. And simply doing kirtan for Krishna's satisfaction without any expectation of any reward. Just doing it because Krishna says, that he's satisfied by that performance of jagya. Jagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumirasa. He says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the heart of the yogis. Where am I? He's pleased to come and keep you company wherever there's two or more devotees glorifying his holy names. So why think in these other terms? That we gotta bring in a rock star, otherwise we're not gonna get the interest up in the community to come and participate in our program. This group or that group. I don't want to call any names because someone might take offense. We got to call him this Paisa Kanamo. What? What's the need? You don't need them to come do your kirtan. You perform the jagya, and because Krishna, the point is this very simple point. Prabhupada, how many times we've heard this? Even Jesus Christ himself says something like this. That God is providing for the elephants, God is providing for the ants. So God won't provide for someone who's performing jagya of his holy names. He's not going to provide. You have to squeeze the kirtan to get some, a few bucks out of the thing. Nonsense. Krishna's providing for everyone. Why wouldn't he provide for someone who's sacrificing, purely sacrificing without any strings attached? No demands. Only a prayer, to please accept me. Please, engage me in your loving service. With tears in my eyes. And not, tears crying all the way to the bank, please. If Krishna, provides, then Hari Hari Bol. If Krishna doesn't provide, then Hari Hari Bol. That's the way we were trained by Srila Prabhupada. I don't know where these other ideas are coming in from. Where are they getting the idea from? It's not coming from the pure devotional platform. So the question is, do we want to become pure devotees or what? You don't get pure devotion without practicing pure devotional principles. From the very beginning of our training in devotional life, we're supposed to learn what are the pure devotional principles. That is what is called Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Shraddha Shabde Vishvas Sudrida Nischaya Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoya. That I exclusively devotion, Krishna Bhakti Koile, no other thing. Sarva Dharma Prityaja Mam Ekam, Nam Ekam, Sharanam Braja. Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Therefore, Mam Ekam means in Kali Yuga practical. Nam Ekam, Sharanam Braja. And Krishna says, Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya Nam Evaye Prapanyante. Mayam Etam Taranti. What does Mayam Etam Tarantite mean? It means Mam Chayo Vyavacharina Bhakti Yogena. What kind of Bhakti Yogena? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. There's only one thing. Eva, certainly. Kevalam, exclusively. Only one thing. Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. The prime process in Kali Yuga of devotional service, which includes all of the other processes of devotional service, without doing which no other process of devotional service can be complete. And if only doing that process exclusively, Nam Sankirtan Jagya, one gets the fruit of all other devotional processes. Therefore, Mam Chayo Vyavicharina Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Bhakti Yogena Sevate means service to the holy name. And service to the holy name, the highest service to the holy name, one who loudly chants the holy name for the benefit of others, according to Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Bhagavat, quoting from the Skanda Purana, if I'm remembering correctly. Perhaps that's not correct, but I can't remember where he's quoting from. But he's quoting from Shastra. He says that one who chants loudly the holy name of the Lord, is 100 times more pious than one who chants softly only to benefit himself, or chants within the mind. So one who performs Sankirtan, then what is the result of performing Sankirtan? Sagunam Samatitaitan Ramabhuyaya Kalpate. You easily, Mayam Etam Tarantite means Sagunam Samatitaitan Ramabhuyaya Kalpate. You come to the spiritual platform, and spiritual platform means Bhava Bhakti, above the influences of the three modes of material nature, above the conditional platform, above the state of bondage. You don't get Bhava Bhakti without chanting Shuddhanam. It is Shuddhanam which is Nija Sarva Shakti. Sarva Shakti meaning all Shaktis. If it's only partial, not all, then it means that, yes, the material Shaktis are there. So by Aparannam, you can associate with Krishna's material Shaktis. But Sarva Shakti means his Antaranga Shaktis, his spiritual Shaktis. Sarup Shakti. It's by the grace of Sarup Shakti that one is elevated to the platform of Bhava. As far as possible, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee, not from the lips of a non-devotee. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says clearly that those who are chanting Shuddhanam, they are actually pure devotees. And those who are chanting Namabhas, they are Vaishnavabhas. It means that they're still more or less in the category of non-devotees. So Nam should be received from a pure devotee. So someone can argue that, well, we're not pure devotees because we're not chanting pure. Well, why aren't you chanting pure name? Nonsense. Who's stopping you? You know, no one's stopping you from satisfying Krishna to the point of him agreeing to appear and dance on your tongue. You know, stop making excuses. There's no excuse that, okay, we're on the clearing stage, but you're not supposed to remain on the clearing stage for the rest of eternity. Bahu Janma Kariyari Shravana Kirtana, supposedly. They're supposed to come. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says generally it takes three years to come to the Shuddhanam platform. And how many millions of 3 years are we going to take before we come to the Shuddhanam platform?
You mean 3 lives?
No, 3 years.
3 years? Oh. I thought you had said...
That's another thing. It's another point.
Oh, okay.
You know, it may take 3 lifetimes, but it doesn't have to take 3 lifetimes. That depends on you. You can surrender at any moment. You can use your free will at any time. It's not that, well, you start out on the aparad platform and you have to go for one, there's a rule, you must continue for 1 lifetime, you know, and then in your next lifetime you come to the, you know, Namabas platform, you know, and you must go for that whole lifetime before you come to the next lifetime when you can do Shuddhanam platform. Generally, he says, generally it works like that because people are slow-witted. Manda sumanda mate mandayo. Bhagyo padrita.
So for the slow...
No brains.
For the slow brain...
But it doesn't mean that you have...
3 years.
It doesn't mean that you have to take 3 lifetimes to come to the Shuddhanam platform. Krishna, you know, by his own sweet will can grace anyone. It's a question of your desperation. It's a question of you're realizing that you're fallen and you need mercy and actually crying for the mercy of Nam. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Nityananda. No one's stopping anyone from crying for mercy, realizing your fallen condition. You know, and Krishna can appear at any time, according to his own sweet will. And he can also disappear. You know, to put you in your place. When you start becoming a little proud of you know, oh, now I have Krishna in my grubby little mitts. And suddenly you realize that he's on the other side of your grubby little fist. He doesn't have to be bound by anyone. You know, but the point is that, you know, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. And what does Krishna Bhakti mean? Same thing. Mamcha Bhakti Yogena Sevate. What does that mean? In Kali Yuga, the main thing that it means, there may be other aspects because there's Navada Bhakti, you know, there's Panchanga Bhakti, but the point is that the main ingredient, which has to be there for any other ingredient to be viable, the main ingredient is Nam Sankirtan. It is the supreme anga of devotional service, not only because of its accessibility to everyone, but because of its own intrinsic potency, invested by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nam Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan is the supreme anga of devotional service. So when it says, you know, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy, it means Nam Sankirtan. You perform Nam Sankirtan and you'll surpass without any difficulty, you'll surpass whatever you could expect to get in other ages and by other processes. Whether it be karma, gyan, yoga, or whatever it may be. Or, you know, dhyan or any other things. By, you know, sacrifices, by dhyan, by deity worship, or whatever what was previously, you know, done in other yugas. Make a firm decision, sudridha nischoya, by having faith in Shabda. Shabda means Shabda Brahman, Shabde Vishvas, having high regard for Shabda Brahman coming through disciplic succession, the conclusions of the predecessor acharyas. Regarding the importance of performing the Yuga Dharma, Nam Sankirtan. There's no other Yuga Dharma. That is the supreme Anga of Bhakti, happens to be the Yuga Dharma in this age of Kali, because no other Anga of Bhakti will do. Only the supreme Anga of Bhakti, and all other Angas of Bhakti have to be supportive of that supreme Anga of Bhakti for those other Angas of Bhakti to be of any relevance. Because only the supreme Anga of Bhakti will do the needful in the matter of delivering such fallen Kali Yuga rejects as ourselves. Therefore, sumedhasaha means that you have to have enough brain substance to understand that you're fallen and that you need to take shelter of the process, the only viable process which will, do for such fallen conditioned souls as our Kali Yuga reject selves. So that is Shraddha. Shraddha means Shraddhavanjana. Those who are Shraddhavan, having Shraddha, that is, they are the bona fide recipients, in the marketplace of the holy name. Nam Hata, which was opened by Lord Nityananda for the benefit of the people of this world. Shraddhavanjana. It means that they have strong faith. Shabde Vishvas Sudridha Nischoya. Enough faith to make a firmly determined decision that I will only do bhakti, and I will not divert my attention to any other. I will only do bhakti, Krishna Bhakti Koile, and bhakti meaning the supreme Anga of Bhakti, the most important Anga of Bhakti, the most noteworthy, the most universally applicable in every respect in Kali Yuga. The only real viable form of bhakti is Nam Sankirtan. And Sankirtan means two things, Sangha Kirtan and Samyak Kirtan. Sangha Kirtan means when you're getting together, many devotees coming together. And Samyak Kirtan means that it is complete because it is based on Sambandha Tattva Gyan, Abhideya Tattva Gyan, and Prayojan Tattva Gyan. Without having the basis of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayoja Tattva Gyan, no one can come to the Shuddhanam platform. It is not complete without coming to the Shuddhanam platform. Then it's complete. Sankirtan. Complete Kirtan. Shuddhanam Kirtan. And ultimately Premanam Sankirtan. Which is the culmination of our chanting of Shuddhanam.
Could you explain that second bit again? The Prayojan Sambandha. How do we apply that in Kirtan? So that it's devotees that come together, and then the second aspect, it has to have that tattva.
No, the point is that Sambandha Tattva means that you have to understand that you have a relationship with the holy name. The same relationship that you will have with Nami, you'll be having with the holy name. So therefore, to establish your relationship means that there should be some idea about your eternal constitutional rasa, ultimately. Kirtan rasa is kirtan rasa when there is rasa. And rasa means ultimately prema rasa. So at least you have to have some idea as to what type of relationship you have with Krishna. And the same type of that is quality chanting. Quality chanting doesn't mean that you're just meticulously articulating and hearing every syllable, of the mantra. Some people pass that off as quality chanting as opposed to quantity. Quality chanting doesn't just mean, that is a superficial conception of quality chanting. External. Real quality chanting means that you're chanting the name of your Priya Bandhu, or you're chanting your name of your darling Lala and Lali, or you're chanting the name of your Swamini and your Priyatama, your lover. That this is the name, therefore, from your heart, because of your attraction, because of your feeling of attachment to the prospects of having such a sambandha, such a relationship with Krishna, you're chanting his name with a desire, understanding that Abhideya Tattva means that you understand, that you have a clear conception of what is the process by which you can attain the prayojan, or the final outcome of actually realizing, prema in one of those 5 relationships. 4 primary relationships in Braja. So quality chanting means that there's a, there's no question of Shuddhanam without quality chanting. Sambandha Tattva Gyan means that what is the first Sambandha Tattva Gyan is, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishner Nityadas. But that is a general conception. It has to go from general to specific.
What if we don't know a specific relationship?
Huh?
What if we don't know a specific relationship?
Then
we should start on
then why don't you know? What's stopping you from knowing? Why shouldn't you be able to know? Everyone can know their eternal relationship with Krishna. There's nothing saying that you can't know your eternal relationship with Krishna. The only difficulty is that your vision is your introspection. By introspection, you should be able to know what it is that you want to be for Krishna. You don't have to want to be the son of your father. You already are the son of your father. So in that sense, it's not a question of wanting to be something for Krishna, but recognizing what you are. What is your actual intrinsic spiritual nature? You are there in your heart. You are the observer. So you should be able to see yourself. You should be able to know yourself. It's only because we're externally absorbed in the phenomenal world that we're not sufficiently attuned to our own self, because we've externalized our existence instead of understanding our internal nature. So therefore, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, go on with your chanting. And gradually, the clouds of anarthas will dissipate sufficiently. When the, lower modes of nature become reduced, their influence becomes reduced, and you become fixed up, nishta, on the, sattve, stitam, prasidati. Become happy because you're not, disturbed by the lower modes of nature. So, from the stage of anartha nivritti, one can eagerly follow in the footsteps of a particular Brajbasi because you recognize something about yourself, what bhav you want to pursue, like that. So in any case, the point being that from the beginning, Shraddha those who are Shraddha they have the right to purchase the holy name based on eagerness. Based on eagerness to pursue your eternal relationship with Krishna. Shraddha. What does Shraddha mean? Shraddha, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jaiva Dharma, he says that, practically speaking, Shraddha and Sharanagati are synonymous. What is Sharanagati? Because first it comes Shraddha, then comes the, let's say, qualified sadhu sangha. First Shraddha, and Shraddha is based on Sharanagati. And Sharanagati is characterized in 6 ways. 6 symptoms of Sharanagati. The first of which is to accept only those things which are favorable for the cultivation of Uttama Bhakti. Uttama Bhakti means Anyabilasi Tashunyam Anukulena Krishnanushilanam. That is Uttama Bhakti. So one has to be interested in, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy, means that you have to be interested not in Mishra Bhakti. It doesn't say Mishra Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. It says Krishna Bhakti. Not Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, or any of these things. Or Vikarma Mishra Bhakti. It doesn't mean these things. It means Shuddha Bhakti. Krishna Shuddha Bhakti Koiles Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Simply give up all other Anyabilasi Tashunyam and do this one thing. Anukulena Krishnanushilanam. Which is in pursuit of the prema, the principle of prema. What is prema? Krishna Indriya Priti Ichcha, to have the desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Without any expectation, without any consideration of my own happiness and distress in the matter of pursuing that principle. Mother Yashoda was prepared. That's following in the footsteps of the Brajbasis. Mother Yashoda was prepared to give up her life millions of times for the satisfaction of even one hair on the head of Krishna. So that is Shraddhavan. The preparedness to accept those things which are favorable for the cultivation of Uttama Bhakti. Not for the cultivation of some other kind of Bhakti. And to reject those things which are unfavorable for the cultivation of Uttama Bhakti. Anukulena Krishnanushilanam is the sarup of Uttama Bhakti. Means exclusively for the satisfaction of Krishna. That I'm doing this not for any other purpose than the satisfaction of Krishna. Come hell or high water, it doesn't matter. If Krishna gives me some Mahaprasad, then Hari Hari Bol. And if Krishna, doesn't give me any Mahaprasad and, gives me some, some school of hard knocks or something, pinches me, then Hari Hari Bol. If Krishna embraces me, crushes me by his embrace, then Hari Hari Bol. Krishna leaves me broken-hearted, by not appearing before me, then Hari Hari Bol. Whatever it may be, practicing that principle of unalloyed devotion, which is the only thing that satisfies Krishna. Does Krishna have to be satisfied with your Mishra Bhakti? You see this point? So the interest, the recognition of the need to surrender to the principles of Uttama Bhakti means knowing that Krishna will always protect me, to be completely dependent on Krishna's mercy, not that I'm going to make some other extraneous arrangements to somehow or other, gratify my senses, using the holy name, as if the holy name's some peanuts to sell on the street, to get your little paisa so you can, put food on the table and give peace a chance, kind of stupidity. But, so just to round out this discussion, point of discussion, to have no separate interest than the interests of Krishna, and to always remain meek and humble, meaning that my mental concoctions will not do. I have to follow Mahajanayena Katasapanta. I have to follow the path of the Mahajans. And Mahajans for us primarily means Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We follow their ideals. Then, if we have that Sharanagati, which is symptomatic, which is indicative that we have Shraddha, that we are Shraddhavan, then we have the right to Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasa Shreya Uttamam. Only Shreya Uttamam, not how to solve our Japati problems, or how to do the, what do you want to call it? International Society for Social Development, or any of this kind of garbage that's passing as the Krishna consciousness movement these days. The birds and the bees are asking, where is food, where is shelter, where is sex life, for God's sake? And even they're provided for. It's not the business to approach the spiritual master or a spiritual institution, which is basically the ashram of the spiritual master, with the intention of inquiring about such petty, affairs. We inquire about the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasu. Jivasya Tattva Jigyasu. Narto Yascheha Karma Beat. There should be no other goal to any of our activities than getting the answers to these questions. Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. Shreya means ultimate benefit, but not any kind of Shreya, like performing karma khandya sacrifices and getting, a future benefit of elevation to the heavenly planets. That is also Shreya, but it's not Shreya Uttamam. Shreya Uttamam means that which carries you beyond to Golok Dham. Just like here we are starting our Purushottama Vrat. So that is for the purpose of attaining Golok Dham. That is for Shreya Uttamam. So, inquiring about how to, then that is real sadhu sangha. And from real sadhu sangha, one can expect to do real bhajan kriya, non-bhajan, real bhajan kriya, and anarthana vritti, with the aim of coming to the Shuddhanam platform. Serious bhajan. Serious bhajan means quickly. You can do quickly anarthana vritti. Quickly. Because you don't want anything to obstruct your progress. Because you have a desire, to please Krishna. Because our sadhu sangha should have impressed that upon us from the very beginning. From the time we walk through the doors of the Krishna consciousness movement, we're supposed to be trained about the importance of considering the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Therefore, we sacrifice for their pleasure. We learn the principle of sacrificing for their pleasure without any ulterior motives involved. Simply to please Krishna. And that is genuine, pure devotional training. Such a person who has that kind of sharanagati, who is Shraddhavan, he has the right, under the auspices of the Guru Parampara, to perform Sankirtan Yajna. Even though he may be on the clearing stage in the beginning, but the aim is to satisfy Krishna. Because that groundwork is there. Because the heart is becoming softened by the cultivation of that temperament, that mood of desiring to satisfy Krishna. Means anukulena Krishnanushilanam. Means Krishna Indriya Priti Ishta. They have the desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna. It means that we're, from the very beginning, Shraddha means the seed of prema. Shraddha is not the seed of anything other than the prema bhakti lata. From the prema bhakti lata, you can expect to get the fruit of prema. Ultimately, the ripened fruit of prema. So, these things we need to consider if we're going to actually perform Sankirtan Yajna in a viable way, as instruments in the hands of the predecessor acharyas. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing? Fun and games. But if we want to spread the bhakti cult, if we actually want to assist in spreading Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, which is meant for the purpose of broadcasting love of Godhead to the fallen conditioned souls of this world. Love of Godhead means prema bhakti, please. So it's got to be based, if it's not based on the actual seed of the prema bhakti lata, pure devotional shraddha, then what is it? It's shraddha abhas, which means bhakti abhas, which means bhava abhas. And you'll never get prema that way. So our purpose in performing Sankirtan is for augmenting bhakti in the hearts, in our hearts, and in the hearts of the people who associate with us. There should be no other purpose. There should be no other purpose. There should be no other purpose. Then that we can expect our yajna to be pleasing to Krishna, because the direction of our motivation is proper. Because we have a desire to please Krishna. We don't have, any other desires. We're not asking for a house, car, and a color TV, Jai Jagadisha Hari nonsense. You're getting the blessings of Guru, you're getting the blessings of Gora, and then you're with, being freed from all, previous offenses, turning over a new leaf. You're, chanting the names of Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna, not for money, please.